Hey, it's your homie Howser, and today we're in my neck of the woods, the city of Whittier. Now, the city has too much history to cover in one video, so we're going to focus on 3 of my favorite spots and learn their history here on Californiography.
It's for Howser.
We're going to start our day by grabbing some food at the historic Jack's Whittier restaurant, which was built in 1956 but can trace its origin all the way back to 1933. In 1933, Clinton Huss Corcoran, also known as Jack, came to Whittier from Long Beach to purchase a lunch counter at Hill's Pharmacy. In 1935, he purchased the Rhodes Inn on Whittier Boulevard and turned it into Jack's Salad Bowl Restaurant, which was the beginning of his restaurant empire. The Salad Bowl was so successful that he had to enlarge the building in December of 1936. In 1938, he expanded and opened a second Jack's Salad Bowl in East LA, and by 1939, the Salad Bowl was seeing an average of 6,000 customers a week. In December of that same year, he opened a third restaurant, Jack's El Rancho, which featured chicken in the rough, which was half a fried chicken served with fries, buttered rolls, and a jug of honey, but no silverware. The rough part was that you had to eat it with your hands. He continued expanding, opening a 4th location in 1941 in Downey, and opening 4 more restaurants in Whittier, Jack's Uptown in 1943, Jack's Beverly Fountain in 1949, Jack's Friendly Hills Coffee Shop in 1955, and Jack's Whittier Restaurant in 1956. Jack Corcoran was not only a successful restaurateur, but was also very ingrained in the Whittier community. He was a member of the Shriners, the Rotary Club, and the Masonic Lodge. He gifted the old Jack's El Rancho building to the city, which became the Palm Park Youth Center, and he was elected director of the Whittier National Bank. Jack sold his business in 1973, and sadly, the other locations closed and were demolished in the following decades. But Jack's Whittier restaurant is still standing and still owned by the family that bought it from Jack. The restaurant has been remodeled and modernized, but it still holds that vintage charm. They're famous for their fried chicken, but serve up all the American diner food classics. Jack's is not only one of the oldest restaurants in Whittier, but it's also my favorite place to get a sundae, and I hope they're around for many more decades to come. Our next stop brings us to the best place to shop for a unique gift or accent piece for your home, King Richard's Antique Center. The building that houses King Richard's is over 120 years old and is one of the last remaining links to Whittier's citrus industry. The citrus industry got its start in Whittier during the 1890s when Simon J. Murphy hired Arthur Reed to construct an irrigation system that would bring water from the San Gabriel River to Murphy's Ranch and the surrounding areas. By 1900, the Whittier Citrus Association was formed, and their Quaker brand citrus was soon known around the world. In 1903, the association built a large packing house to process and ship out the citrus. When opened, the Whittier packing house covered 12,240 square feet, but was shortly after expanded an additional 5,000 square feet. By 1906, they were shipping an average of 650 carloads of oranges and 250 carloads of lemons a year. The citrus industry continued for a few decades, but after World War II, the city of Whittier grew rapidly, and soon those citrus groves were subdivided and developed, and the Whittier packing house ceased operations in 1951. Not much is known about what the packing house was used for between 1951 and 1978. In the late 1960s, it was home to Bob May's TV stereo appliances. Then sometime in the 1970s, it was turned into a business called Buy and Save. And then in 1978, it became Rattan Factory Sales. In 1980, it was turned into King Richard's Antique Madness Mall and became the largest antiques mall in the state of California. Today, King Richard's Antique Center encompasses almost 60,000 square feet, with 140 vendors spread across 302 spaces. You can find furniture, vintage items, vinyl, jewelry, and even some pieces of Whittier history. They also offer on-site services like appraisals and clock repair. So if you ever need to shop for something unique for that special someone or for your house, why not come to King Richard's? There's nothing cooler than shopping for antiques inside a building that's also a giant antique. Our next and final stop brings us to Rose Hills Memorial Park, the largest cemetery in North America and the only one that I know that has a neon sign. Rose Hills was founded in 1914 as Whittier Heights Memorial Park by Augustus H. Gregg and some fellow Whittier businessmen. The 18-acre cemetery was established to serve the growing city of Whittier, and as the city grew, so did the cemetery. In 1917, the first mausoleum was built on the property. It was actually the second public mausoleum built in Southern California, the first being in the city of Anaheim. In 1928, Augustus' son John Gregg took over leadership of the cemetery and began an era of expansion that continued into the 1950s, where, at its largest, the cemetery spanned over 2,500 acres, although today it only covers 1,400. In 1930, the second mausoleum at the cemetery was built. Named El Portal de la Paz, it was built to reflect California's early Spanish mission architecture and features hand-painted ceilings, carved wood furnishings, and stained glass windows. Also in 1930, it was decided that the name of the cemetery should be changed, so a contest was held among local residents, and the name Rose Hills Memorial Park won, and the cemetery was officially renamed in July of 1930. The following decades saw the reshaping of the hillsides of the property to gently sloping lawns for cemetery use, and the construction of additional buildings and features, including a crematory and small chapel that is now called the Rainbow Chapel in 1942, and the addition of the Rose Hills neon sign in the 1940s. Now, I'm a big fan of the sign, but I always thought it was a little bit unusual for a cemetery to have a neon sign. But according to Museum of Neon Art historian Eric Linksweiler, in the 1940s, every modern business in America had to have a neon sign in order to say they were a modern business. So I guess it's not that unusual that they installed a neon sign at the time. The sign has been moved a few times from its original location and was briefly turned off in the 1970s, but the FAA asked Rose Hills to turn it back on because pilots used it as a visual reference, so it serves a purpose beyond advertising. The 1950s saw continued expansion. In 1956, the Rose Hills Mortuary and Flower Shop were opened, making Rose Hills one of the first cemeteries in the country to offer all the facilities and services necessary for memorialization available in one location. In 1959, the pageant of the Roses Garden was opened, a 3-acre rose garden that had 4,000 rose plants representing over 240 varieties of roses. The garden drew tens of thousands of guests, turning Rose Hills into a tourist attraction. During the 1960s, several additions were made to the park, including the construction of a Japanese garden in 1963 and the memorial chapel that was built in 1964 as a memorial to John Gregg, who led the expansion of Rose Hills Memorial Park and died suddenly in 1961. Over the ensuing decades, Rose Hills has continued to expand facilities and services, including building a Buddhist columbarium in 1999, which is the largest Buddhist pagoda in the United States, and opening the Our Lady of Guadalupe Mausoleum in 2019. These changes have helped Rose Hills to better serve the diverse communities from the surrounding areas. With such beautiful grounds and breathtaking views, it's no wonder why so many people have chosen this cemetery as a final resting place for their loved ones. And Rose Hills Memorial Park is prepared to continue serving the burial needs of families for many decades to come. Thank you for joining me on today's trip around Whittier, visiting a few of my favorite historic spots. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Until next time when we, because remember, it's you and me, continue to explore the history that could be found in this great big backyard of ours called California. See you soon.